You're live.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Just before 11 a.m. And we are picking work back up on H 686, an act relating to expanding identification of certain lobbying advertisements. We have in our gallery folks from Secretary of State's office and also the Attorney General's office. My list is in no particular order. Do you folks have a preference? We'll go first.
Either way, by past.
Okay.
That works.
We are gonna be extremely short.
Okay, cool. How are you today?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leslie Welts. I work for the Attorney General, and I'm here to testify on H 686. I am the chair of my office's Campaign Finance Committee, which looks at not just campaign finance matters, investigations, enforcement, but also lobbying, which is why I'm here to talk about this bill. We also look at elections issues as well. So I've been here to talk about that in the past as well, but it's nice to see you all. In short, we support the bill. Anything that promotes transparency in advertising is something that is close to the heart of our Attorney General. In addition, this simplifies the question of when you need to have a disclosure on an ad. It takes away that time requirement as to figuring out whether we're in a biennium or outside of it. And so it just sort of reduces the questions that one needs to ask, that a lobbyist needs to ask themselves when they're producing an ad. It simplifies what we need to look at in terms of whether there was a violation. It's pretty straightforward now. So given these factors, we support the bill. One thing that I would just mention, though, while we're talking about lobbying, as you know, because I just talked about it, our committee our office has enforcement authority on campaign finance matters, on elections issues, and on lobbying. But the enforcement powers, the investigative and enforcement powers, they deviate in all three, and having them all be aligned would really help us because we have been successfully deploying the campaign finance investigative tools. I've spoken to you in the past about that related to S23. So those tools have been added in that bill to apply to more than just campaign finance, but also for elections fraud issues, voter fraud issues. So just to give you the anchor of the chapter numbers, so campaign finance is, and I welcome Ledge Council to correct me if I get anything wrong on this, but I believe it's Title 17, Chapter 61. Elections issues is Title 17 as well, but Chapter 35. And then lobbying is actually in Title 2, Chapter 11. So that's why I think they've differed. Because they've been kind of specific to the chapter that they're in. One of the key attributes that we really like in the campaign finance investigative tools is not just the subpoena power. You know, there's ability to compel information from respondents, but also the protection it provides respondents because it requires us to hold that information confidential. Those same provisions don't exist in the lobbying chapter. So I think it would help ensure, motivate and incentivize more robust responses if there was this statutory confidentiality provision added. So the language that we already have the language. It exists in law as it is in Chapter 61. It is in S23 right now for the other. So it would just be adding that same language to Title 2 that I would recommend.
Of continuity. Yes, Representative Small.
Could I have you repeat those? Title 17, Chapter 61 was for
Campaign finance.
campaign finance, okay?
It's taken me years to kind of get it all nailed down. So I will repeat it as many times as needed. The Title 17, Chapter 35 is what's called offenses against the purity of elections. And then the lobbying one is in Title 2, Chapter 11.
Thank you.
And other than that, I guess that flag and suggestion,
Nothing further to add.
Bill
Happy to
itself.
take questions.
yes. Any questions for the AG's office on this? Okay. Great. Thank you. John, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. John Sheehan, the Elections Director, Secretary of State's Office. Attorney General's Office was very quick. We'll see if we can be even quicker. In short, we support the bill as well as we testified last time. We were in. We support any improvements on transparency, and this bill does provide that greater transparency. We agree lobbying advertisements should be clearly identified regardless of the time of year, even after the legislature has adjourned. The piece that we flagged last time, to come back, was just that we support the decision to limit that change in approach to the adjournment of the legislative session, just to the lobbying disclosure piece. And the bill doesn't amend Title II, Section 266, which is the prohibition. The 266 has the distinction between the treatment of lobbyist gifts during the session versus outside of the session. And we support that non-change in that sense. Lobbyists will still be prohibited during the legislative session from being solicited for contributions or making or promising contributions to legislators and the other entities identified in that section. They'll still be allowed to make campaign contributions outside of the legislative session, and those contributions will continue to be reported both in the lobbying information system by the lobbyists under the lobbying activity, under the gifts and political contributions as the type of gifts as they are reported now. The reporting periods won't be adjusted, and of course, the recipients will report those contributions as well in the campaign finance system in accordance with campaign finance law, assuming they meet that threshold. So we support this approach and the transparency it provides. And finally, to that last point on enforcement, we support the Attorney General's recommendation of having that consistency across enforcement of election law, campaign finance law, and lobbying law.
No, thank you for that. It all seems very positive at this point. Do you have any questions for Sean? My goal is to get, some other, suggestions from the AG's office. We also had VPER come in, just a little bit more for the committee, right? Like we had VPER come in with some suggestions. So to get sort of like an analysis on that stuff and move towards a new draft for next week so we can really and get this one out. So, yes, Representative Hango.
Thank you. I guess this is just a general question because I hadn't really thought about it before this bill came up, but how is that advertising described? Like, how do you know who it applies to and who it doesn't apply to? Are any organization, no matter how large or how small,
Well, entitled, we could refer to entitled to Chapter 11 with the registration of lobbyists, that Section 261 is the definitions, and it defines each of those terms. It defines what a lobbyist is, what a lobbying firm is. It defines what lobbying activity is, so forth.
so in your,
Anyone who meets those definitions.
yeah, in your opinion, this is going to apply to anybody who meets any of those definitions?
That's
Yeah.
managed.
Thank you.
You're just looking at me, it looks like curious eyes.
No,
Representative
good.
Hisnell.
Good.
Okay, cool. No, thank you, Sean. Yes.
Thanks for doing to come
No,
on. Sean did it.
Okay, Sean. All right. All right, so at this point, we're gonna take the feedback from the AG's office and we're gonna take a look at the proposal from VPERG's presentation and BNRC's presentation last week and get an idea of how to move forward with an updated draft on this, if that sounds good to the committee.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. Wow, that took 8 minutes, right? Okay, any questions from anyone before we have time to work on bills that we have and head into the lunch hour? Nope. All right, wonderful. Next, take us off. We'll be back at 1 o'clock for a conversation, an introduction, and a walkthrough witness testimony on one of the Burlington city charters.